Good morning, everybody. I am Mel Barrett, and
I'm
look who's
Rebecca
back with us.
Lavoie. I'm Rebecca Lavoie. I'm Rebecca Lavoie. Can you believe I'm back? I can't believe
I
it.
I know. I can't wait to hear all about the wedding.
Well, I think listening to other people things about other people's kids' weddings is not the most scintillating content, but it was great. It was so
Okay.
great.
You looked amazing. I saw the pictures.
Thank you. I have a picture I can show. I thought I looked
Yeah,
pretty great too. Yeah, I was very
you looked
excited about it.
amazing. So Becky's back, and we have lots to discuss today. This is going to be outside of the scope of Lindsay Clancy, which I've been talking about mostly. I had a great show with Sam Beningo, by the way.
I'm so glad. I'm so
It
glad
was
that you
awesome.
had her on. I'd love to meet her. I really, really like her. She's
She's
very funny.
she's going to come back on. I think probably close, like deeper into the trial, so
Okay.
we talked totally just about mental health stuff, and she has a extensive background in mental health, so it was a really, really good discussion. I thought the audience seemed to like it too.
Well, you have to introduce me because I don't know her yet.
I for sure will.
Will
I
you
was
vouch
on.
for me?
I will. Yeah, I think that I think she's watched some of the show, so she kind of knows you through our content. But yeah, I think you guys will get along really well. But after we get back from our little musical interlude, we're going to be talking about all things Karen Reed again, and there's just a shit ton of stuff going on. So we're
All
going
right.
to talk
Plus
about that.
plus
On the other
gossip.
side.
Plus gossip.
Lots of gossip. Okay, we'll be right back. Good morning, everybody. I am Mel Barrett.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie, allegedly. I'm smart.
Happy Monday, everybody. I am Mel Barrett.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie. Happy gay summer, Mel.
Happy hump day, everybody. I am Mel Barrett.
I'm not humping anybody. I'm Rebecca Lavoie.
Happy Saturday, everybody. I am Mel Barrett.
Oh, no.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie and my mic is muted.
Good morning, everybody. I am Mel Barrett.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie and that's Briscoe.
And welcome to Something's Off, a true crime podcast where we swat the haters aside with our astute takes and humor and joy. And
the joylessness
I don't give
of those
a
people. Hags.
You hear it first in the break in the story. One little crack and the whole thing gets wary. A witness swears but the timeline bends. A smile too smooth and the trail just ends. Mel Barrett says, hold up, look again. Rebecca Lavoie follows every thread. If it feels too neat, then it's not the truth. There's a shadow line running through the room. Something's off, something's off. You can feel it in the bones. Something's off, something's off. When the facts won't come home. Something's off, something's off. And the case won't stay in place. Something's off. We're the ones who chase.
We're gonna go members only.
Yeah, we're the ones who chase. Wait, did that witness just blink 3 times? Something's off. Something's off.
I like
Is it
well,
Easter?
you guys.
Is it Easter at your house? You're wearing
No.
yellow.
I know I'm wearing it's Nike. I got a new shirt.
I love it.
What the audience can't see while the intro is playing is that Rebecca and I are at the bottom of the screens in our little squares, and we're both just like dancing. I have another person who's been dancing to our song that I want to play. Hold on, I gotta pause it. This was sent to us from a user named Jamie, and this is their grandson. I did my best to cover their face because they do turn to us, but I just wanted to play this video because it's the cutest thing ever, and it made me so happy. So this is Jamie's grandson. Let's watch. They love our song.
You hear it first in the break in the story. One little crack and the whole thing gets wary.
Aww.
Get it. Get it.
Oh,
How friggin' cute, right?
So cute. So cute.
So thank you guys. Thanks, Jamie, for sending that. I really appreciate it. It made my day. Rebecca is back. We have been covering, while you were gone, we've been covering in depth the Lindsay Clancy case.
I've been keeping up. I have been keeping up with what's been going on in court and stuff in the case. I've been like, doing what I can to sort of stay in the know. I'm extremely, obviously, I've been interested in this case for a long time. It is deeply sad. I appreciate your very, very, very excellent hard work attempt to cover it without including a lot of the trauma-based stuff. coverage of what actually happened to the kids and so forth. And I just think that you're doing a good job. Oh, someone called me Little Red. Okay, that's definitely getting on the screen.
Little Red.
Of course, your super chats, your tips, everything that will all get on the screen. But if you say something clever, we're putting it online. It online.
One of the things that I hope that you saw was the Father Bob moment. Did you get to see the Father Bob?
I did. Oh, I played it out loud for Kevin. Father Bob. This is Reddington. Okay. I've said this to Kevin so many times, and I hope that you all take this with the spirit in which I mean it. If this case were not the saddest, most tragic story I have that we've covered on the show, certainly, and that it's really, really very high up there in terms of American tragedies and tragedies generally. This would be the most fun trial to watch in the history.
Absolutely.
Because if he were defending something much lower stakes, like a fraud or something I love how he always sort of cuts them off at the knees by just giving them what they want and just being like, fine, you can have it. I don't care.
By telling the truth. He doesn't have to worry about being disingenuous or trying to get something past the jury because he's just telling the truth. And I would honestly, I am a huge Reddington stan now, and anything else he does that is televised, I will be watching.
We should just go back and see what other Travis trials are available. If there's something that's not super tragic, I'm not a trial vulture, but I'd be a trial vulture for Reddington for sure.
Oh yeah, maybe we should do Reddington. We should cover some Reddington cases on Crossroads. That would be so fun.
He's unbelievable. He is his just his outrage is not performative. So when he does it, it's when he's just all right, I'm going to have to object at some point to all.
I know. He's I'm letting her lead this whole time, but really it's just getting out of control. Can we do something about this?
And it's her witness, Judge. It's her witness.
He and the judge have this back and forth that I know outside of court, if they were able to be friends, probably would be friends. But how hilarious was that? And he just the Father Bob moment. He was it's Father Bob. What are we doing here? It's Father Bob. And then he gets up and he walks over to the clipboard and is you want the list? You could have walked 5 feet over here. It's right here. And he just drops it on their desk. Why are they doing this? What is wrong with these women?
When he walked by that prosecutor and grabbed the papers from her hand, and, oh my God. I thought I was gonna die. He's like a Law and Order TV lawyer. He's the fiery, he's the Elizabeth Marvel character. He's
Columbo.
It's very much Perry Mason-y.
Yeah.
And apparently he's a big Pearl Jam fan, which I am as well. So I appreciate that as well.
So yeah, we've been covering that case and it's gotten very dark at times. But like I said, we've been doing it, the trauma-free, #trauma-free trial recap. And I think that for the most part, we've been able to really stay away from all the gruesome details and all the crazy shit. But it's still really heavy. The mental health stuff is really heavy too.
It is. But you know what? It's spurring a conversation, which is important. And I think that we'd be remiss if we didn't say this. And I know that people, some of our audience might roll their eyes at this. But again, this is an example of a woman with means, a white, attractive woman with means in suburbia, getting a lot of attention for something that happens to women every day all around the country. There are so many women in prison for harming their children that were in the throes of a real psychosis. Clearly harming your children is a horrible outcome and a horrible thing to do, but sometimes it's not the person doing it, it's the disease doing it, as I think most reasonable people are seeing here in this case. And then you have, of course, the rage baiters who just want to be contrarian because they're contrarian about everything having to do with women and anything that might be complicated about women and women's health. And then, of course, there are people who are just vengeance warriors. And then, of course, you have the morons who keep pushing the Patrick did it thing, which we will not entertain on this show. We will not be entertaining that at all.
Absolutely.
You know who I sent Melanie a little note about this. She handles those with a lot of grace in a way that I cannot.
Yeah.
Because she lives with kids who look at TikTok and she's like, this is what they're telling me. I get it. I know it's intriguing because you can't wrap your mind around something that's horrible happening. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, dude, you have patience, because I would just be like, nope, you can have your money back.
Yeah. Yeah, I did an episode. Maggie and Ellen came on really quickly on my last recap, and there was some pretty strong debate because Maggie isn't watching the case every day like we are, so she had the internet questions, like the conspiracy theory questions. Ellen had a lot of questions also. She's covering it for the rundown, and some of the audience was frustrated because they were asking questions that were, you know delving into the conspiracy theory, but that was the point of the discussion, was to make sure that they understood the facts of the case. And I get really frustrated when people are like, Patrick did this, because
it's insane. It's insane.
Also, there's no way, because of his, I mean, one of the things that we did learn is that you can open up a Google, like a search tab on your phone, and that the timestamp is right there and it tells you what you searched in that moment. It's not like you opened up a tab and then at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning, you searched something and that's the actual time. We learned that through Celebrate again, but we also have records of where Patrick was and what he was doing and the time frame of the 911. It's literally not possible.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's not possible. She says she did it. She admits to doing it. She remembers doing it. She admits to doing it. Like,
but people are debating. People are debating whether she's actually said that or not.
Everyone needs to stop.
No,
Everyone needs to stop. Have you read the civil papers? It's literally in there.
Yeah,
it's literally in the civil papers.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So it was a good debate, but I think the audience was a little bit frustrated. Understandably so. But,
they'll be okay.
They'll be fine.
They have me back now.
That's why we talked it out. But also, one of the things that I was really working hard toward while you were gone was getting us to 11,000 subscribers. And we had a big influx over the past few days, and we are
currently, you kicked ass, Mel, because you kicked ass.
Thank you. We are currently 84 subs away from 11,000.
Guys,
I know. Guys,
help a couple of women out.
Yeah.
One of them's a lesbian. But she deserves even more because she faces adversities in this world that I don't have to face. So give her a second.
Apparently, I'm going to keep talking about this because she keeps talking about it, but Macchiato, I really, really do think that she has.
Jolene thinks she's into you too. I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
She couldn't land a woman like you.
No, absolutely not. But it's hilarious to me that she keeps saying that I'm ugly, and I'm like, I think you're protesting a little too much, Macchiato. Did you see, speaking of that whole thing, did you see Aiden's petty stream?
What do you think I was watching this morning when I was like, hey, I need 5 extra minutes? I was actually watching Jolene at that point talking about it. I was
going to say, yeah.
I woke up this morning at 6. And I looked at and I was like, I like seeing before we stream on, because I think there's anything new that we can gossip about. So I, went on and I was like, oh, he did one last night, but it says it's about his trial. And then I saw people tweeting about the fact that I was just like, okay, fast forward. So as soon as I got to that part, I was like, not going to lie.
Jolene, Turtle Boy stream is great. Jolene's stream is great. It's really
she went on at midnight
after
her time.
Jeffy, I know.
She went on like at midnight her time to talk about it. And I know that because I woke up this morning at 6 and her stream had ended 13 minutes before. And I was like, what? Something must have happened.
Yep.
So yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I think that first of all, I just want to give us credit again for seeing it the whole time.
You credit you.
For a year. Like I have comms about her from a year and a half, 2 years ago. Like she is a bad actor and always has been. Like it was always right there.
We talked about it on the readathon well before we came on YouTube.
And I was trying to be polite because people I liked her.
Yeah.
But I have comms with them too, being like, I don't like her. And I said this. I said this publicly before, but I when I wrote to Aiden once and just professed my dislike for Jess, he was like, she's not everyone's cup of tea. And I'm like, that's very polite. So I'm not gonna push it because clearly
he's not holding back anymore. So
well, he's not, but also for anybody who's any doubt about this, she really enjoys this. She is enjoying this.
Well, she's making money off of it.
Much. Well, she's also enjoying it because she's the main character in a story. So anybody who's going to give me crap about like y'all killing her or whatever Jolene always says. Like,
got the little
she
hands.
loves this. And Jeff
loves
loves this.
Loves it.
Just like Meredith loved it. Loved it.
One of my
Loved
favorite parts about Turtle Stream was that he read Lauren Matthias's text messages to him out loud.
I know. What is
I love it.
She is used to being
not
able to
smart.
flirt her way out of every
Yes.
situation, or had that experience in the past.
Yes.
I don't know, when she was younger, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But she definitely has that experience of like, if I'm nice to him,
Mhm.
he'll come around.
Yeah.
And listen, we all know that that works sometimes, but to do that to Turtle Boy after he did like 15 hours of coverage of you,
Yeah.
what are you thinking, girl? What are you thinking? Maybe somebody told her, like, he's actually really nice. If you just reach out to him and he gets to know you personally, like he might take down his stuff about you, but you don't deserve it, Laura Matthias. You do not deserve it.
Nope. Birdie says, I've been pushing this channel a lot because people really want the trauma-free coverage. I really appreciate that. And
Can you push people to give us tips and Venmos and Super Chats, please? That would be great.
Okay, so if you guys want to do, if you want to tip us, it's all at the top of the screen. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. There's a QR code. It is pinned in the chat. I will read whatever you send over via tips to the audience. We also love the super chats. We also our membership is like, we got a ton of members while you've been gone, and I'm really excited about it because
I'm excited about that too. Members are so incredible to the channel because it helps with the algorithm, obviously, to have membership. It helps with the algorithm to have likes. Everybody's here who needs to like this. Everybody. And hype it later.
Yes,
do please. It all. Do all the things.
But honestly, like, YouTube does take like the 30%. So those tips are so important to us and we absolutely appreciate it. And speaking of which, Elsa, very generous. Elsa, thank you so much for the $50 tip. You're very sweet. Elsa, hold on. I got to read Elsa's message. If you do not want me to read your message on your tip, make sure at the top you put, don't read this, Mel.
Elsa was the one in Frozen that went through the sexual awakening and sang Let It Go, right?
Sexual awakening in Frozen?
Let It Go. That whole sequence is about like pubescent sexual awakening. If you have that in mind and watch it again, you'll see it.
Oh, I mean, my God, really?
She goes from being prim to being sexy in that sequence. Like she looks like a princess, then she looks like a gorgeous, like, right. And like literally the song, let it go, let it go. It's like, let go of your, it's like, there's a lot of Disney princesses have like the undercurrent of sexual awakening in the stories. That's what a lot of those things are about. But like, let it go, I thought was the most obvious one. And I was like, the fact that not everybody sees that is wild to me.
At the height of like the Frozen mania, when I owned the dog walking company in Somerville, I would drive through like the town, like the squares, like Teal Square, Davis Square, all the squares, Porter Square, all that. And I would just put my windows down and my sunroof open and I would play it so loud and sing it at the top of my lungs just to like make kids happy.
I love that for you.
Yeah, it was great. Anyway, Elsa, Mel,
praise hands.
Mel, I cannot express enough how much I appreciate you covering the Clancy trial in the way you are. I couldn't listen any other way, and I have learned so much. Thank you so much, Elsa. That's very generous of you and very kind. I am glad that you have found a place where you can listen to it and watch the coverage, and I hope... Oh, green flag. Yes?
Mel is a green flag.
Sometimes. Also, I wanted to say personally, Martha, you know who you are. Thank you so much for the very sweet gift from my Amazon wish list. I now have pretty much a full set of the knives because of you and Cassie. I have a full set of the knives that I lost in the flood from divorce one. I've only had one divorce, so divorce one. But now I have these beautiful like Japanese steel knives.
Why are you numbering it if you only had one?
I don't know, because that's what people do, right? They're like,
is that your starter marriage?
Well, I mean, I don't think I'm going to get married again. Lindsay and I are kind of, I don't know. I did this thing the other night. I was just joking. We were just like, it was just a regular old moment on the couch. I was just sitting there. We were watching Scandal and we were like eating popcorn or whatever. And I got up to go get something from the kitchen. And I was like, do you need anything? And she was like, no. And I was like, will you marry me? And she went, the look on her face.
Horror.
No, I cannot describe. I don't know what it was, but we've had this conversation. We've both been married before. And it was like her stomach dropped. She was so excited and terrified at the same time, and like all the things. It was so funny to me. But I was just like, I'm just going to get something to drink in the kitchen. So
Sounds like you guys actually need to have a conversation, in my opinion.
we talk about it all the time.
Okay.
I mean,
the government greatly incentivizes marriage, by the way. There's a lot of government benefits to marriage.
Realize
like
we
she
are.
can talk about direct conversations you guys have had if you're ever on trial for murder.
Oh, I
For
know.
one.
We are actually domestic partners technically, like we have the paperwork for that, but it is like one of the reasons why the LGBTQ folks fought so hard for marriage equality was so that we are protected. I don't know if the audience knows this, but there are certain states in this country where if Lindsay and I were traveling, mostly in the South, if we were traveling, if we were on vacation and like I had a heart attack, God forbid, or I broke my leg or something like that. There are states in this country where Lindsay wouldn't be allowed to come in to see me at the hospital because we're not married. And even if we were married, there are some states who don't totally recognize that. But there are states in this country where Lindsay and I can't be like, she can't come and sit in my hospital room.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be my next of kin. My next of kin at this point in time, because my biological mother and my grandmother have passed away, is like an uncle who I have no relationship with. And it's like, this is getting out of control, you guys. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. So we talk about it. We talk about it all the time, but we've both been really burned in our last marriages. So it's difficult to, whatever.
Yeah. Shauna Parker says, good morning, ladies. Welcome back, Rebecca. Happy not to be on the replay crew for a change. Life's been busy. Sending love for all the week ahead. Thank you very much for the $4.99, Shauna. We appreciate that. So do folks want to see a mother of the groom picture? Is that what it?
Yes, please. And I also wanted to say there's a couple more tips that came in. Sarah Lewis, thank you for the $100 tip. Thank you so much. I love you both. Thank you for all you do. So friggin' sweet. Thank you so much. And we also got, where did it go? Hold on. I always have a hard time with Cash App. I got to figure this one out. You go ahead, Rebecca. I'll figure it out.
Oh, that's okay. I have a couple. I haven't seen any pictures published of my son and his new wife yet. And I hate to be the first person to put one out there. Maybe somebody posted. Let me just check their social media real quick.
Okay.
I don't want to break the seal on sharing their marital photos. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to be that mother-in-law who's like, this is my accomplishment.
This tip is a do not read. So KL, thank you so much for the $20. Really, really, really appreciate you.
Let's see. Yeah, the bride has not posted anything yet, so I do not want to. But they looked. Oh my God, she looked so beautiful. Like, I'll send you a picture so you can react to it. How about that?
Okay.
She looked like a god, like literally like a goddess, and she never wilted. Like during the day, you know, how sometimes like everybody wilts during a party, and this was like a party. And she did such a good job planning this wedding because she did all the planning. She had all these little surprises. Like there's always this boring, like laggy part of the wedding where everybody sits down and, you know, people are starting to eat or whatever. And like there's music playing, but like no one's doing it. She on the RSVP, I think on the save the date, she had a question that was, what was the song that you and your spouse danced to at your wedding? And then she had a playlist of all of those songs that come up like during the eating part. And she was like, she said, I welcome everybody who hears your song to feel free to come up and dance and people can join them and stuff. So the dancing started like during dinner. Like she was so brilliant.
Love it.
She had parasols because there was some sun. The weather was like, it was the most beautiful day in the history of days. It was the 70s.
Whoa.
It was dry. I know.
I just got this picture.
Doesn't they look so beautiful?
Who is this?
That's my son and my daughter-in-law.
Wow.
I know.
Amazing.
I know. She's a very, very beautiful woman. They're beautiful young women.
Gorgeous.
Anyway, and so I don't want to spoil, but I can show you these are the groom's party. So that's my son here in the middle. And that's my other son on the right, the best man. Mm-hmm. And those are the three other dudes in the back. These are the kind of pictures I love, like when you just sort of get them like doing things before.
God,
my son.
So green. It's so green.
It was such a beautiful event. It was in the middle of nowhere.
Love it.
But it was so beautiful. Here's me and my girlies.
Look at Rebecca's dress, y'all.
This is me and my best friends. And my hair, I was very happy with it. I had this young woman in her like 20s. She did my hair. I went for a practice thing like in March. And I said, my hair is naturally really big. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. Obviously, it could be humid or whatever. So I want to make it like go with the natural bigness. And I want it to be like Texas pageant girl meets Cindy Crawford in the Pepsi commercial. That's what I said I wanted. And she said, I kid you not, who is Cindy Crawford?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah. So anyway, I went with dress number 2. I had 2 dresses. This was dress number 2. I was very happy with it because it, I was very comfortable dancing in it because it wasn't strapless. But yeah, it could not have gone better. The rehearsal dinner was beautiful and fun, and everything was beautiful and fun. There were sparklers. Oh, I have a tip for anybody who's getting married or has a wedding coming in their family. I think the most fun thing Maya did was she had this basket of like streamers. It was like little sticks with like gold streamers on them. And like maybe 15, 20 minutes into the dancing or further into the dancing, when it got a little bit later, and some people started, made everybody got streamers. And so not only people were dancing with the streamers, but then also like the older people who were there that aren't inclined to dance were still like doing this with their streamers, the music. So like everybody was participating in like the celebration part. It was so lovely. So the streamers was a beautiful little detail.
I love a wedding. I told everybody this the other day. I love a wedding. And if you want to invite me to your wedding, because I get the dancing started is what happens.
We have a couple of friends who are like, I'll send you a video, who are like, they could be professional wedding plants. Like these are my Gen X friends. Like everything they do is insane. Hold on a second. I'll send myself this so I can show it to you. I can show it to you guys. But if you have friends who are like, just know what it takes to make something fun, like those are the best. And I have a bunch of friends like that. But one of them in particular, my friend Amy's husband, Alex, is kind of insane, but in a great way. And he, at one point proposed to another guy, friend of ours. He could literally be, I told him he could have a second career, pretending to be people's uncles and going to their weddings. But anyway, it was wonderful. It was really wonderful.
Is he a gunkle?
A good uncle? What's a gunkle?
Gay uncle.
No, he's not gay.
Oh.
But, he's gay in his own way.
There was something that you wanted to talk about before we get into our topics today. And that was you wanted to add a segment about the Village's news.
Yeah. Okay. So it never occurred to me
please.
To bring this on the podcast before. So for those who don't know about the Villages is a community in Florida. It's a what's it called? What's the community called when it doesn't have a government, but it does have a government? It's like it's a huge community, like a co-op community in Florida.
Incorporated?
Unincorporated area. It's an unincorporated area in Florida. Yeah. It's made up of 5 villages, which have town squares and stuff. I think there are 4 or 5 town squares. It's a whole thing. There's more than 150,000 people live there. It has the highest per capita percentage of veterans of any community in the United States.
Isn't it where Mar-a-Lago is?
No, Mar-a-Lago's in Palm Beach. The Villages is like it's near where all those horses are. But people talk about the Villages during election season because it's a bellwether for Florida, because it's very, very, very conservative. And if the Villages goes less conservative, then that Florida might go to a Democrat, because the Villages is like really, really conservative. But I know people who live there, and they tell me that it's, even if you're a Democrat, even like it's a fun place to live. It's a very high engagement community. It's a very high like participation community. There's thousands of clubs that you can belong to. But it's just like, it's not a gated community. It's just a series of these unincorporated areas. It's very Disney-fied. People who live there say it's like living in Disney. Everyone drives their golf carts around, etc. There's a rumor that it has a very high rate of STDs. Apparently that's a rumor, but people love that rumor, so they keep saying it. But my favorite thing about the Villages is the Villages crime log. So hold on. The Villages crime log, which is in their paper, villagesnews.com, has the best headline writing of any publication. It's like The Onion. Like the headline writing is incredible, even for crimes that are like a little more like concerning.
Yeah.
The headlines are incredible. So like for instance, this one. Court records offer scandalous details of villager's disastrous Tinder date with much younger woman.
Oh my God.
Incredible headline, right? Villager's
It's like Turtle
son
Boy.
released from jail after hurling insults at cops while barricading himself inside home. Now, granted, that is not a funny story, but the headline is so specific.
Read the one to the right with the white car.
Entitled driver hogs 3 golf cart parking spots at Walmart. There are so many, drunken golf cart situations in the villages, like so many. Convicted felon in the villages, back in trouble. They always use words like trouble. 63-year-old man in trouble after alleging bathroom battle at cannabis dispensary.
Oh my God.
Villager arrested after strange incident at polling place.
Strange incident.
So in between that, there's actual very straight news, but like these are all straight stories, by the way. These are not they're not joking stories. They're straight stories about crime in the villages, but whoever writes the headlines is doing the Lord's work. Oh, look at this one. Suspect jailed in racial violence in the villages allegedly attacks black cellmate.
Oh my God.
Okay. They cover everything. Villager who lost license after DUIs caught driving golf cart after leaving cigar bar.
That right there. That's the whole thing.
Detective admits she was, quote, stupid to track husband's ex-wife's license plate. A little bit of classism stuff. When it ever says apartment dweller, that's like a key about class that they're trying to signal there. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff. Suspected shoplifter with long history of arrest caught stealing rotisserie chicken. Just so you know, and like a lot of the stories have Walmart pictures in them because a lot of the crime happens at or around Walmart. Jealous woman in pickup allegedly runs motorcycle off-road near mobile home park.
Wait,
homeless man bites cop after detained in theft of Monster Energy drink.
It's perfect. Do you remember People of Walmart?
Yeah.
Oh, that was one of my favorite. That was one of my favorite sites, the People of Walmart.
The answer here is you don't need a license to drive a golf cart, but you cannot drive a golf cart if your license has been suspended and you have DUIs, apparently, in the villages. I don't know. I haven't read the law, but I have read the village's crime report for several years, and that is what I glean from context clues.
Well, Qbert says lots of retired Canton folks there. So,
and my husband's family, there's people who live in the villages there, and I always see them at family events and stuff. And I always, I want to say his brother-in-law's sister lives there. And I saw her just now at my niece's college graduation party. And she told me she lived in the villages. And I was like, okay, I know so much about the villages. She's like, we don't all have STDs. I'm like, I know that's just a rumor. But I know you have this high percentage of veterans per capita. I know that the employees of the villages, their children can live there. So now it's become more of a family community. I know about the squares. I know about the drinking. There's a lot of drinking in the villages. I know all about it. And she was like, you do know a lot about the villages.
Okay, but
yep.
You know about the loofahs because somebody also mentioned loofahs above.
Yes,
and now
she told me about that. Yeah, so apparently there was an article that came out about the high rate of STDs and swinging in the villages. And one of the details was that if you hang a loofah from your golf cart, it's it's sort of like the toe tap under the stall situation, but for swinging.
Okay, so Rosie Red says some have posited the loofahs are used to discreetly signify a resident's sexual proclivities.
Yeah.
And then Leslie says, I'm pretty sure the loofahs are to identify which golf cart is yours, but the mythology with the loofahs is hysterical. That is hysterical.
Yeah.
Do you know how we identify sexual proclivities in the LGBTQ community?
Well, are you talking L or G or B or T or Q? Because it's not always the same.
No, but we all use the same thing.
What's that?
It's bandanas. Do you know about this?
No.
Flagging. Do you know? You don't know about flagging?
It makes sense to me.
If you want to go on a deep dive, go look up LGBTQ bandana flag, and you will get charts of every possible color that ever existed and what every single color means. I've never really prescribed to it myself, but some of it's wild.
Did you watch the stream of Jimmy's where he taught his listener about sniffies?
He taught me about sniffies on our
heard.
episode.
I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard. But he had this listener who has a gay son, and he brought her on, and she's like, I'm always just trying to learn and whatever. And she was so lovely. And he's like, pull over your car. And he had her look at sniffies.
He had me do it.
He was so lovely to this woman, though, like so lovely to her, because his whole thing was you know, it is he's just so gracious. He's like, it's completely understandable when parents don't react well. It's like disavowing your kid is horrible, but like, it's like if you've been raised in a whole system where you're told that it's the devil and it's bad and it's whatever, and then somebody in your family says this is who they are, it would be scary. And the way he like just talked about it had so much grace and so much love, and he was so wonderful with this listener. What did you think when you saw Sniffies? I knew about it, by the way.
He had less grace with me.
Oh yeah.
But he sent me the link. I downloaded the app. I looked.
Would you like to tell the audience what Sniffies is? People who don't know.
It's basically it's like Grindr on steroids.
It's a hookup app. Hard hookup app.
He was like, okay, get your account, look at your location. And then what I did was I looked at my location, and literally within like 0.2 miles of me, there were 100 dick pics. Like, and that's what's on the screen are pictures of giant dicks. And then he goes, now go to your messages. I had been on the app for about 10 seconds. I had 100 messages already wanting to hook up. And I was like, what is wrong?
And you're like, that's not how we do it as lesbians. We just move in.
What's wrong with boys? We just go to the U-Haul website.
Yes. As Jimmy says, gay men are just boys who like other men.
That's what
they're just gross boys who can be. And the way he's sort of described it, it's like the inhibition of grossness is way lowered because there's just men. So it's like, they know. Like the relationship stuff is later. The sex stuff is first because that's inevitable. Let's just see if it works or doesn't work.
They're men. Yes, that's what we talked about.
And he's like, and I just thought that was such a lovely way of putting it. So to me, green flag for Jimmy. Green flag for Jimmy.
Always a green flag for Jimmy. What else do we have? Do we have anything else? Oh, tonight. Let's talk about schedule really quickly. We're coming back tonight, 5 p.m. Members only cross roast. Did you see my thumbnail? Did you see the 3?
Let me look.
That we're choosing from? I should put the thumbnail up, actually. Let me put the thumbnail up.
Okay.
Let me find it. Because I think you're gonna be uncomfortable.
Oh, I see. I'm gonna be uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So this is tonight, members only. Any member can come to our cross roast where Mel makes me watch a video that makes me very uncomfortable, and sometimes I have a drink while we're doing it. That's how I need to cope, which sounds horrible, but it's just a joke. It's just a bit. I see here Katie McLaughlin, Kelly Dever, and is it Allie McCabe?
Caitlin.
Oh, Caitlin Albert. Caitlin and Allie, like quick glance, look a little alike, but I don't think they look alike when you see them talking.
Mm-mm. So we're going to be doing the roasting of a cross-examination of one of these 3 lovely ladies. Whichever
All 3 of them.
Whichever one is chosen, it will be uncomfortable because it's very awkward.
Thank you for gifting the membership, Tara.
Thank you so much. But we're coming back.
And by the
5
way,
p.m.
I did what that listener suggested.
What's that?
Our membership levels have the same benefits. The higher one is if you want to give us extra love, and we will give you extra love back.
What do you mean?
It means we'll give them extra love back. It means we love them.
So we're not going to do one membership level?
No, we're doing 2. We're giving people the opportunity to support us at a higher level, but everybody can come to our members only. I've been looking around. A bunch of really successful channels do it this way.
Okay.
We're going to try it. We want to make it affordable, but we also want to give people the opportunity to support us at a higher level.
We just need to, do we change the descriptions yet?
I did. Oh. I took care of all this, girl.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I may have not been streaming, but I was working it.
I did want to say, I saw that Law Girls is in the chat, and I just wanted to mention we did get your email, and we will respond shortly. Thanks so much for reaching out, and appreciate you. I did also want to mention, because Papster just brought this up, I was very devastated to hear this news that Hayden Panettiere is unalive.
Same.
And some people have been saying that she was actually suffering from postpartum. I don't know if that's true. I know that
she actually did suffer from postpartum when, like a year or 2 after she had her kid. She was public. She talked about it publicly. She was a wonderful actor. She was an incredible child actor. And I think a lot of her troubles are probably because she was a child actor, which is not an uncommon story. She was
We
acting
don't know
since,
how she died, though. We don't know how she died.
no, but I think there's an assumption that's safe to make based on the family statement.
Yeah.
She had a lot of mental health issues. She gave up custody of her child because of her mental health issues. Her husband, who I think her husband was Ukrainian. He's a boxer, but she was, I know a lot about Hayden Panettiere. She was a child actor. She was in a bunch of stuff when she was a baby. And her mother apparently pushed. She was in Heroes, but before that, she had one of the most memorable guest starring roles on Law and Order SVU, where she plays a troubled child who ends up at the end of the episode setting a fire, and it's like so scary. She's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful actor. Great in Nashville, great in Heroes.
That was my favorite role of hers was Nashville, and I loved Hayden Panettiere.
Save the cheerleader, save the world.
She was only 36 years old. That just makes me so friggin' sad. She was a baby, and I just hate it. I hate it. I was so sad when I woke up to that news. So I just wanted to say that and mention it on here.
Heroes is like the worst. That's like that show. Remember show happened during the writer's strike, and they brought in scab writers to finish it. It was so bad. It started so good and then ended up so bad. So many good people were in that show, though. Milo Ventimiglia was in that show.
Yep.
Adrian Pazdar was in that show, although I don't like him anymore because he cheated on Natalie Maines and she divorced his ass.
I love Natalie
Adrian.
Maines. Hey, I heard some breaking news over the weekend.
What?
Want to hear it?
Yeah.
I heard some breaking news that Kate Peter is the quote unquote executive director of a Netflix documentary.
Wasn't that supposed to be Jess?
Oh no, it's, as far as I know, it's Kate Peter,
executive producer. I heard Jess made Netflix.
No. She's not the executive producer. She was the executive director, which we all know.
There's no such thing as a
real credit. That's not a real credit.
So I heard Jess. I haven't watched it because I'm honestly Jess's streams are not entertaining to me anymore, except to watch them through Jolene. Yeah. Apparently, Jess made a Netflix claim too.
Yeah, she did. But here's the thing. So I don't know if you know this, but Leah Genduso follows us on Twitter, and when I followed back, she was like, "You're not going to get any further information from me. I don't know why you're following me." I'm like, and what I said to her was, "You followed us, so I followed you back." That's all I said. And she was like, "Oh, okay." So she posted this picture of her beautiful friend, Kate Peter, and said, I'm just paraphrasing, but my beautiful friend, Kate Peter, is going to be the executive director of Netflix. First of all, of a Netflix documentary. And then I think when she realized that executive director is not a position that actually exists in the world of film, and that the way that it works when you get a distribution deal, Jolene went over this a little bit last night, and I was like sort of nodding along. Usually a production company comes along and they want to make a documentary. And so they talk to a bunch of people and they get consultants and they do all these things. And sometimes they make the documentary before they have a deal with any studio or any distribution company. And then sometimes they already have a deal with Netflix or Peacock or whatever it might be. And so, there's a chance that once the documentary's done, it'll air on wherever. So the idea that anybody would be announcing that they are the executive director of a Netflix documentary is just laughable. But then I think what happened, this is me and my assumption, is that she realized that what she had tweeted was just ridiculous.
Stupid.
And then so she was like, it looks like we got all the Karen Reed people. We trolled them with this fake story and blah, blah, blah. So she tried to claw it back. But it's just like between Jess Machado and Kate Peter being like, I'm going to be the executive director of a Netflix documentary. I am the producer of a Netflix documentary. And I'm just like, you guys, you do realize that people actually do this for a living. And what you're saying is not true. And we all know it.
Including me, by the way. I've been involved in several conversations, including one that's ongoing right now. And that's not the way it works. If you're Jess Machado gets a claim to be an executive producer, you're an executive producer under mostly two circumstances. One is you are the financer / production company behind the thing. Okay. That makes you an executive producer.
Yes.
2, if your IP is what is being made into
Yes.
the thing.
Yes.
So for instance, if I worked on a podcast that was being potentially made into a documentary or developed for a deal for a documentary, which is this whole development process works. Like one of my work projects is in the middle of this and has been for like a year now. Whole development process. We have 7 credits, 7 producer credits, right? That are going to go to different people on the team. If this thing even happens, like it's not even like it could not happen, right? But the executive producers, make no mistake about it, are the people whose work made the thing. So unless Jess is financing or has IP,
I wasn't talking about Jess. I was talking about Kate
I know,
Peters.
but someone to confirm, because I did hear that Jess claimed to be an executive producer of a thing that's going to be on Netflix. And also, when something is being developed, it does not have a distributor. The only original content Netflix makes are films that also production companies make. They don't directly make them. They're not a studio. And they make sports docs. Like those are their direct things that they directly make. And even those are made by production companies, but they put their own banner at the top of it, a Netflix production.
And there are production companies who have deals with Netflix and like a distribution deal.
Sure.
Like we're going to give you 3 films, which like the documentary that I worked on for Pam Smart, like I had to negotiate my credit. And I got a consulting producer credit. You guys may never see the documentary though, because
it may never come. They may nix it a week before it's supposed to come out.
It was already supposed to be out. You guys, like it was supposed to be out in May. It's not out. It's not.
I worked for Netflix for 8 years until this past April. I worked for them for 8 years. I had a contract with them. And because we covered documentaries on the podcast we made for them, we heard a lot of this behind the scenes, how Sausage is made stuff. And we also interviewed filmmakers all the time, and they talked about the behind the scenes, the process of how stuff was made. Stuff often doesn't get purchased by Netflix until it's been on the festival circuit or until it's been through a lot of times Netflix will purchase a thing, or any distributor will purchase a thing just to kill it. It's because they have a similar project coming out. That happens all the time. All of the time. Hollywood is messed up. There are many, many layers. And by the way, the pay for something like this is so small. So for instance, if you are an IP partner and your IP is being used to make the documentary, but there's a production company who's purchased, who has the option, they pay you a very small fee for the option, very small, like usually 4 figures, sometimes 5 figures, sometimes mid 5 figures, but that's like rare. And then during the development phase, they're actually putting together like a deck and bringing it to networks to see if anyone's interested in biting. They're coming up with their sourcing, they're figuring stuff out. Yep. But the person whose IP it belongs to, first of all, producers are not a paid thing. Producers don't get paid. Producers are credits. They're not paid unless you're a consulting producer or kind of producer where you're actually contributing materials, right?
That's me.
But generally speaking, a producer credit is a free thing that you get. So if you're named as a producer, it does not mean you made any money.
Second, wait, hold on. Let me just dig down on that just a minute, because I was a producer in reality and documentary and feature.
But that was narrative. Your job.
It was my job, but I was freelance. So producers, actual working line producers get paid, but producers in name do not get paid. So like, a line producer, an executive producer, a line producer gets paid below the line. Executive producers get paid above the line, which means that they get paid usually on the back end. Whereas a line producer is a day-to-day production person and production managers,
whose job it is. Yes.
Yeah. All that. PCs, all that stuff.
So there are producer credits that are given out like candy by production companies so people can have an IMDb and put it on their IMDb. If you see my name as a producer on an upcoming project someday, which you might, I'm not making any money off of it, but what happens is the IP contributor gets a percentage of the budget of the documentary, something like, say, 5%. Okay. So let's say, for instance, that that's front end. Well, it can be, you can also negotiate back end. But if you're making a documentary, you have the IP, like you own the podcast or you own the book or you own the whatever. If there's a documentary, say it has $1 million budget, your fee, if it finds a distributor, is going to be $50,000 plus whatever else little things you negotiate, materials, fees, music, photos, whatever. So $50,000 is not nothing, but it's also not life-changing money for most
and they
people.
Don't pay
it's life-changing for a year.
They also don't usually give you the whole $50,000 all at one time. It's broken up into like months and months and months.
Right. And then you might have a back end of like half of a percentage if there's more. But then there's also derivative rights. So your fee that you make, if it's 5% or 8% or whatever it is, includes your derivative rights, which means they can make a season 2 of your thing that has nothing to do with you.
Right.
But you will also get the same stuff for season 2 just because you provided the original IP. That's very common. So the whole sausage making thing here, nobody says I'm an executive producer of a project that's going to be on Netflix until it is scheduled to air, until they put the trailer on YouTube.
And
that
here's
is not
the other
a thing
thing.
one talks about.
Executive producers are oftentimes money people. They're the ones who actually were the production company, and they, gave the budgets and gave the money for production and all that stuff. Everyone's talking about like a throwaway credit in the chat. The throwaway credit is usually associate producer. If you see the credit associate producer, more often than not, that is a thank you credit, a throwaway credit. Sometimes people give it to their mom, like that kind of thing. But executive producer is usually money or story, and then on down. But like with me, my contract as a consulting producer was that I was consulting the production team on the story, and if they wanted to use any of my podcasts, they had to pay me by the minute for whatever podcast they want to use. I did some voiceover work for them as well. Originally I was going to be on camera, and then that they went in a different direction. So my contract was specifically for the information and the story that I was giving them.
Right.
And then, but I can do any project I want on this same subject matter that they gave me, which I was really appreciative of.
Yeah.
So
to answer your question, Allie, sometimes this is true. Rebecca doesn't a documentary come and make the doc and then try to sell it. Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yes.
What's happening more often now, especially with true crime stuff, is that the company who's developing it is in the process of putting together a thing, but they come up with a proposal that they bring around very often first to streamers, and they get bids or they get passes or whatever, and say that, Netflix is in. Then Netflix will actually help develop and produce, but they want to say. So they'll help develop and produce. If they decide to kick in money to get like a top credit, they will. But Netflix doesn't have Netflix is a distribution company. So I worked for Netflix for 8 years, as I said. They have a lot of departments. Their development team is the one who takes pitches from production companies, and then once they buy something, works with them to help them develop it and get it to air. But Netflix isn't like, when you see like Netflix studios, Netflix isn't like Paramount where you see all those buildings where there are sets and stuff. Like that's not a thing. That's not a thing with them. They're just a distributor. So sometimes they can actually purchase a doc when it's in development, and sometimes they purchase docs when they're finished. Either way, there is zero guarantee that it ever airs. In fact, the vast majority of projects that begin don't make it to air in Hollywood. That's just how it works. Like you can have, I worked on a project in my day job that had a development and distribution deal for 2 years. It went nowhere. It went absolutely nowhere. And then we have another one that might be going somewhere, but we don't know. We're not going to talk about it because we don't know. But the bottom line is talking about it is real dumb. Talking about it is one way to encourage it to not happen, by the way. Because if you talk about it and there's negative buzz around it or no buzz about it, that's disincentivizing to a company like Netflix to actually do anything about it. All right, so let's take a look. Also, by the way, I did also got a gift from my Amazon list, and the person said that they did not want me to share their name, but I appreciate you and thank you very much for what you sent me. I always want to think that actors get executive producer credit just means they get included in the conversation that they have, not that they have clout. So sometimes actors get executive producer credit because that's part of their like deal that they make as actors, but also a lot of actors also have production companies. So for instance, the Fanning sisters, like literally almost every actor has a production company. So the Fanning sisters, for instance, have a production company. They've sold a bunch of stuff, and almost everything that they have financed or bought into has done really, really well. Like they have a great reputation, great track record in Hollywood. Mark Ruffalo has a production company. He likes to focus on like environmental projects. Obviously, George Clooney and Brad Pitt have a production company. So they both Reese Witherspoon hugely successful production company, Sunshine Production. So she identifies projects, she procures the IP, she then has a production, works with a production company to get the thing made, and then she very often stars in the thing. So that's like, she's the executive producer of that.
Yeah.
So
I used to have a production company. I mean,
yeah. So
when
like,
you're
but
an
something you see with
independent-
actors a lot who are
Yeah.
in things is that they are also executive producers.
Yeah, when you're an independent, like I was an independent filmmaker, I was a writer and director and an editor, and my day job was producing. So my day job was like line production, you know, production management, production coordinator, all that kind of stuff. But in my other job, I was raising money for my own film. So I needed to have a production company, a place to put the money. And so you can own a production company. It doesn't mean that you're going to have any distribution. That's the end of the day. At the end of the day, you can own a production company. You can be a part of a production company. But if you don't have the distribution, Netflix, Peacock, whatever, Amazon, Hulu, whatever, then you don't have a product. You don't have a product until it's been distributed, basically. So anyway, I just found that really funny. And, you know, the fact that somebody was saying that Kate Peter was going to be an executive director on a Netflix documentary made me laugh. And
she's sitting on a board of a company. She's the executive director of Coca-Cola.
Well, that's the funny thing. It wasn't, they said executive director of a Netflix documentary. And the only executive directors are the ones who actually work for the company. Like CEO, executive business development, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, honest question, what's an executive director? And never got an answer to that. But then the next thing I saw was, oh, this was just a joke. We were just trolling the FKR universe, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, sure you were.
Well, it's funny. Somebody asked me like, so what's going to happen if Jess makes a claim like this and then nothing comes of it or whatever? And I'm like, obvious. She'll say she decided not to do it.
Yeah.
She'll say, I didn't feel well. So what didn't work out? Or she'll say, you know, it just took too much of an emotional toll on me. Or she'll go to some fake war with them and she'll be the victim of them. And that's why it won't happen.
My favorite thing recently is that she says that she's been covering the Lindsay Clancy trial in court and live tweeting. We've had 13 days of trial, and she's been there for 2 days. So great job.
I don't think she wanted
great
to
job on the journalism. That's my thought as well. She got sick and then she went on vacation. So
one more gossip thing.
Yeah. We have more than one.
Brian from LTL Media
is
the biggest baby I have ever seen. He and Crawford have been streaming together. And there's this thing that happened where there's this old ass video of Mike Crawford when he worked at Market Basket doing the ice bucket challenge. Remember that stupid thing where people made ALS about themselves and threw ice buckets on their head? Yes, I know it was started by a family of somebody with ALS and had great intentions, but then it turned into this big performative thing. People just wanted to take off their shirts on camera kind of thing. Anyway, they were showing the video of Mike and they weren't saying the ALS challenge was bad because clearly it wasn't, right?
Right.
But they were saying that Mike, it was objectively funny because he's like, I think it was Jimmy that said, this is a version of Mike I like. I'd love to work with him at Market Basket or whatever. And they showed the video. Brian LTL is like, hey, Glara, because Glara then played the whole thing of Jimmy, whatever. Right. Glara, you know, when you're up here for the Turtle Boy trial, you better be prepared to answer questions in front of the media because I am an accredited member of the media in Massachusetts. By the way, that's easy to do. You fill out a form online and they send you your letter. I know, I just did it. You don't have to be like a genius or anything to be an accredited member of the press. And he went on this rant where he's like, he's going to ask Glara embarrassing questions about making fun of ALS in front of the mainstream media in Boston. And that's going to be so embarrassing. I'm like, no, what's embarrassing is you and how seriously you take yourself. These dudes take themselves so seriously and they think they're legit. And Mike is like, you don't see the glare on the Howie Carr show. I'm like, Howie Carr show is not a good show, my friend. I mean, it's a popular show. Good for you. But like the babe, like they're just babies. I've never seen two bigger babies in my entire life, and it's extraordinary. And I just want to say that out loud because I've been holding it in for several days.
Thanks for sharing, Rebecca.
Babies.
Kimberlina, who's been a member for 3 months. Thank you so much for your membership. Oh my God, those two are the biggest tools, Mike and BLT. Yeah. And one other last thing on the whole documentary, Netflix, blah blah blah. Somebody in the chat said, what did they say? Two of my friends who were in the Netflix docu-series for Ellen Greenberg, and they were not paid. They didn't expect to be compensated either. It was about getting the story out. They don't often pay like contributors, people who are telling the story or who they're interviewing. Like for instance, the Nightline episode that I was in, they just put out a new 2020 episode that I was in that they took from the Nightline episode.
Derivative. Yeah.
Never saw a penny for any of that.
Yeah.
And also, if you're doing any kind of journalism, you really shouldn't be paying the people you're interviewing.
You don't get paid to be a
bad
talking
ethics.
head. If you're a talking head in a documentary or a news show, you do not get paid unless you provide materials that they pay for. So photos.
Yeah.
Very often they get around they get around not paying people by paying them for other stuff. Like, I'm paying you for your consulting services. I'm paying you for your photos. But it, like, the McAlberts did not get paid to be in 2020. Like, that's not a thing. So
nope. All right. The only last piece of gossip that we have to talk about is Chris Albert's back rent.
Chrissy. I know that there are some people out there saying that like this could be part of Turtle Boy's criminal prosecution or part of the defamation case because financial harm is a prong.
But Chris isn't involved.
Chris is not a party in the defamation case. And in the criminal case, he is. That being said, I believe his long track record of being very bad with money and debt. By the way, doesn't this make so much more sense why Julie was babysitting for the Proctors now? They needed the money.
Yeah.
Julie's a babysitter because they actually need the money. I hope they're giving some of that testify money to Chris. Just going to say
they haven't paid their rent in 8 months. No, the rent is $2,400. They haven't paid it in many months. They owe over $8,000. They're, I think, about to be evicted. They're blaming it not on the mediocre chicken parm, but on the Karen Reed stuff
or his bad business practices. He's stiffed vendors before. There's all these court records. He has unpaid credit card bills, unpaid bank stuff.
That's why he's not
serial non-payer. We talked about this the other day. It made you very uncomfortable, but you seem more comfortable with it now.
Well, that is why he's not suing Turtle Boy for defamation for publishing articles about him being not paying his bills because he can't prove that Turtle Boy is wrong. So that's why he's not suing him for defamation. Let's see. Okay. So we have a couple of kind of big things to talk about. I don't know if we're going to get through all of it today. But first of all, this is outside, well, it's adjacent to Karen Reed, but Rosemary Scapicchio, she wants all of Michael Proctor's case files for all the cases he ever worked on.
Good.
From the Miles King case. Here's my question, though. The Miles King case has been going on for a very long time. Miles King spent 4 years in jail awaiting trial. They let him out. The feds picked him back up and they put him back in jail. How long is it going to take for the Massachusetts State Police to compile the hundreds of thousands of case files? And what happens if this drags on for another like 2 to 3 years? Like, this is huge.
Well, he's now in fact, he's part of a federal crime. So he's actually back in jail, but for something else. And what's interesting about Miles King is Miles King most likely did what he's being accused of, but his case has become such a great test case for the damage Michael Proctor has done to investigations of all kinds of crimes in Massachusetts. So I am really interested to see what Rosemary is able to do with this one. I think Scapicchio is a superstar. And if anyone's going to get that stuff, she is. She's the one who got the Proctor text from 2012 and all that stuff.
But we're talking gigabytes. We're talking terabytes of
it would take forever.
Files.
It would take forever. And then a judge could say that it's putting an undue burden on the resources of the state. But I would like her to get everything she's asking for. Always. I want Rosemary Scapicchio to win the Powerball when it's up to $2 billion. I want her to have everything she wishes for in her life.
Her and Reddington to open a law firm together.
No, they're both solo, man. They solo.
I know. But
Love
did
it.
you notice? Did you see the pictures from the Lindsay Clancy case where Reddington is like meeting with Scapiccio, who's sitting
Yep.
in the front row? They're just like
Scapiccio is
chatting it up.
representing her in
love
her
it.
civil case. Liz
love it,
Miz
I
says
love
you're going to pay for a lawyer, but not run for your business. I'd like to remind everybody that Chris Albert had a alleged habit too of faking having a lawyer by sending fake cease and desist letters from a fake law firm to people on TikTok, et cetera, at least according to some of the content creators. It never happened to me, but that's alleged that he sometimes would skirt paying for a lawyer by sending an official looking letter from a fake lawyer. So
The next thing we need to talk about is that Judge Gilday has denied the anti-slap motion in the defamation case, meaning the Haas defendants are the plaintiffs in this case. They're not defendants. Well, let's call them the Hams. So Higgins, Albert, McCabe. So the Ham plaintiffs sued Karen Reed and Turtle Boy for defamation, and both Karen Reed and Turtle Boy filed anti-slap motions to dismiss the case against them. And Gilday last week denied Karen Reed and Aiden Carney's motions to dismiss. Karen Reed is now appealing. I believe Aiden is also going to appeal.
I think the appeal was also denied.
Was it?
Yeah. I think that's the headline I saw last week.
Get out.
Yeah.
Karen Reed is officially appealing a recent decision made by a judge in the defamation lawsuit.
Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I saw the headline that their appeals were also denied.
I was looking at the docket. All right, hold on. Let me look at the docket really quick while we're doing this. So this is Plymouth. A lot of stuff's happening in Plymouth right now. Reed, Karen. Okay. Let me look at the docket.
I'll look it up here.
All right. So what we have is the defamation case. And the most recent stuff that has happened is, okay, Aiden Carney on July 17th, let's see.
Oh, is it their appeal was filed on the 11th?
Yeah. So Karen Reed filed an appeal. Notice, okay, so on 8/5, notice to the appeals court of interlocutory appeal, denial of special motion to dismiss pursuant to anti-slap. So that on 8/5 he denied the anti-slap. And then on 8/14, he issued a ruling. This is the very last thing on this docket. So he issued a ruling for the foregoing reasons. Defendant Aiden Carney's partial motion to dismiss pursuant to Mass R Civ P blah blah blah. It's a 12B6 is denied. Defendant Karen Reed's motion to dismiss pursuant to 12B6 is also denied. I think what you're talking about is there were the two separate. There was the anti-slap, which was sort of all encompassing. And then there was also the 12B6, which is more, it's more detailed. He denied all of it. He denied both of those. So I think that's what you're talking about with a second denial. So now Karen Reed has filed an appeal. And I may be wrong about that, but that's the way I read it, is that
no, I think you're right. I think I misread a Kyle Sharkey tweet because I was in wedding mode. I'm blaming everything on being on wedding mode.
Okay, that makes sense.
Appeal's not ruled on. Yes.
Yeah.
Appeal's not ruled on. Got confirmation from our expert in the chat, Liz Miz 1030.
Thank you, Liz Miz. So he used the 12B6 standard, and he also used the anti-slap. He denied both of those. Karen Reed has filed an appeal. Aiden has not yet, but it plans to. And Judge Gilday basically said, I was watching some of Melanie Little on this, and what she was saying is what I agree with. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TV. But Melanie Little was saying that there is no way and just factually with the time we've had, there's no way that Gilday watched every single one of those streams.
Of course not.
Footnotes,
of course not.
Which means he is making his decision based on partial information. And he's making his decision based on information that the plaintiffs are giving him and not necessarily what the defendants are saying. But he's only watching partial. So as far as why he denied Aiden's, he was saying that defamation and actual malice. Like Aiden Carney is arguing that Brian Albert and Higgins are public officials and that the complaint failed to show he acted with actual malice or knowledge of falsity or reckless disregard for the truth. So Gilday ruled that the judge pointed to communications where Aiden privately expressed serious doubts about contradictions in Reed's narrative. Did you hear about this? Do you know what I'm talking
Yes,
about?
I did. Yes, I did.
Okay. So specifically what he's talking about is Aiden communicating with Natalie the German about something specific to the case where he said,
when he's first getting information about it. It's like really early in the process.
And this was specifically about the 227 search that Jen McCabe made. And basically Aiden said something along the lines of, I don't fully understand, or I'm paraphrasing, this doesn't make sense to me, how they would be able to prove this in court, which is making me very nervous about what I've published so far. Because he said that, even though later on, he is fully on, like very, very shortly after he was later on board. Because of that, that's one of the reasons why Judge Gilday is denying his motion to dismiss, because it sounds like to him, I guess, that Aiden was saying he was worried about what he had published and that he didn't fully believe in what he had published, but he did shortly after that. So I can see that. That's fine, but it's just such a small little thing. And to me, if Gilday is ruling on that, he doesn't have the full information. He's not even bothering with the full information. Do you have any thoughts on that situation?
My thoughts are that it's usually like clerks who do a lot of this review material. So maybe his clerk is doing it, which it doesn't matter. It's not neither here nor there's nothing wrong with that. But my thought is that there's too much weight. I mean, I think we don't give enough credit to how successful the McAlbert publicity campaign has been. Because as successful as the Karen Reed and Turtle Boy publicity campaign has been for making people curious and looking at stuff for themselves and watching the trial and rooting for Karen Reed's innocence and, rooting for Turtle Boy's First Amendment rights and all that, it's been very successful. The McAlbert success has happened where it matters, which is they have conveyed somehow to serious people that they are serious in some way and that their issues are serious. And I think part of it is Turtle Boy speaks for himself, right? So his language, his denigrating speech where he uses the R word, his C word stuff, all that stuff, which is 100% his right to express himself in any way he wants. That's coming from his mouth. Okay. The McAlberts have a PR team. We know that they hired a PR company at one point after the verdict, but they have mouthpieces of people who are not them. They have Julie Carpenter, Jen Coffendander, Kate Peter, Meredith O'Neill. They have all of these other people. The court is not going to or willing to make the leap that these people are the spokespeople for these people. Okay. But when Aiden says things himself, and then people who subscribe to watch him, make content about him, say those same things, it's much easier to tie that conglomeration, that big proliferation of speech directly to him, because he was also saying a lot of these things. So, and by the way, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying what I've kind of observed. They have successfully managed to convey a seriousness about their cause because they are having other people doing their talking for them. So that's what I make of it.
Yeah. Criminal defense attorney says, never underestimate how far speaking like an adult will get you. 1A doesn't equal freedom from consequences.
I think that's one of the reasons why you and I don't get a lot of content made about us, because we're not doing anything like fiery. We're not saying anything that, we're saying what we think about, our opinions about certain people in certain cases and certain whatevers, but we're not throwing lots of, derogatory speech around. We're not so satirical that we say things like Team Cancer, which is clearly a joke, clearly a joke, but so easy to take out of context. We're not giant babies. like LTL and Mike Crawford. Like we don't,
Right.
if people do make fun of us, it doesn't really bother us. So yeah, the adult speech thing does give you more power, but it also lessens your visibility. And I
Right.
think that they've successfully lessened their own visibility by not speaking publicly. So, and then letting other people do it for them, which they clearly are. We know that
Yep.
Kate Peter went to a barbecue at the
Yeah.
McCabe's house. We know, we have
And
documentation of
Lindsay
all sorts of stuff.
Gaetani and all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the second reason why he denied Aidan Carney's motion to dismiss under the unfair business practices 93A unfair business practices, Aidan argued his consumer business statute should not apply because he did not have a commercial transaction or business relationship with the plaintiffs. And then Judge Gilday ruled that Massachusetts law does not require direct contractual privity between the parties under Section 9 because the complaint alleges Aidan monetized the defamatory statements by selling merchandise and subscriptions featuring the plaintiffs' names and likenesses. The claim presents a novel issue best resolved after evidence is gathered, rather than dismissed up front. So he wants to hear more about that. He isn't ready to rule on that, so he's not going to, go through with the motion to dismiss because he needs to understand more. So those are the two reasons why Aidan's motion to dismiss was denied. And he also denied Karen's. So here are the reasons why he denied Karen's. So Karen argued
Karen's motion was weak. Let's be real.
Well, and so was Seligson arguing for her. Karen argued.
Although I do like him now because he went to that baseball game with Yannetti and he was super cute.
Yeah, but he needs to be a better lawyer.
Yeah, he went up a couple notches in my book though. After seeing
just
that,
because he's cute doesn't make him a better lawyer.
Sure, it does. What are you talking about?
Karen argued the allegations were vague, untimely, or protected by litigation privilege. So some of the stuff that Karen was talking about in her motion to dismiss was that some of the things that she said were outside of the statute of limitations for defamation. So Judge Gilday said that the complaint detailed specific statements that Karen made outside of judicial proceedings, such as recorded interviews. This is going back to the Terry Dunn-Muir and the other interview she did for Vanity Fair, such as recorded interviews with documentary filmmakers where she explicitly accused the plaintiffs of murder, which are not protected by litigation privilege. And I just want to state this for the record, and this goes out to all of our fellow content creators in the FKR universe. It is pronounced, write this down, take notes. It is pronounced Terry Dunn-Muir.
Muir.
Not Mauer. Not
Muir.
Tracy Mauer. It is Terry Dunn-Muir.
I think I interviewed her like 5 times for the.
Every time I listen to our fellow content creators and they go over this and they stumble, she's a very well-known documentarian. Like, we should know this name. It is pronounced Terry Dunn-Muir. Okay. The second part of Karen's motion to dismiss was about emotional distress. Karen claimed her statements were not, quote unquote, extreme and outrageous enough as a matter of law. And Gilday ruled that the complaint alleges a broad coordinated campaign to falsely pin a murder on innocent parties to deflect criminal liability. If proven, a jury could reasonably find that level of conduct extreme and outrageous. This was a big point, I thought. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Okay. I'm going to be...
You want to get your little hands?
I'm going to be measured around this. Okay.
All right.
The whole denial of this means that the judge believes that the case should go forward. That's what it means, right?
Yes.
The case has merit. It should go forward.
Yep.
I didn't expect that their appeals would work. So I didn't expect that their motions would work. So that doesn't surprise me. I think that this, again, sort of fits into a weird category where we know so much more than the judge knows or could possibly know at this point in time. We've watched 2 trials. We've read tons of Aidan Carney's work. We've watched many, many hours of his streams and understand context better. We know that the Hams are bad faith actors who are working with the likes of Kate Peter to do a PR campaign. Yes. We know all of this stuff. Judge Gilday only knows what's put on the papers before him. Also, he saw Karen on the Today Show and did not like it.
He didn't
That's
like
what
him.
he knows. He
He
knows
doesn't
what
like
he
Alan
knows.
Jackson.
And it is, I mean, judicial rulings are always information chosen by the judge as being the most important. That's what they're supposed to be, and that's what they are. That's what this is. Do I agree with the ruling? On Aiden, no. On Karen, I honestly think her motion left open a bunch of doors to be denied.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it. I know a lot more than he does. And I'm like, but he doesn't know everything. And of course he doesn't. He's never going to, and he's never going to know all the things we want him to know. And don't write him emails. That's ridiculous. That's the stupidest behavior in the world. So I'm not surprised by it. I wish it were different, but I'm not surprised. That's my take.
So
what is your take?
The next, that's my take too. I think that he went into this going, I'm going to deny this motion. But this third point is one that I think is a little bit scary for Karen. And that's the third point in her motion to dismiss, was that she argued that she was not assisting Aiden in alleged wrongdoing. And Gilday is denying this one because he says that the complaint sufficiently alleges that Karen fed is an important
I agree with
word.
This. By the way, I agree with this.
Yeah. Non-public materials, grand jury claims, and personal identifying details to Aiden to drive public harassment basically to drive public harassment of the witnesses in the case.
I don't agree that it was harassment.
Right.
But at this point, the plaintiff's claims have supremacy. At this point, there's been no discovery yet.
Right.
The plaintiff's claims have supremacy. The
And
judge
explain what you mean by that.
So the judge, at this point in the process, there has been a complaint filed, a lawsuit filed, right? The judge, the whole purpose of the dismissal process, the early dismissal process, the anti-SLAPP or other early dismissal processes, is the judge can look at the claims and say, do these have merit based on the facts as presented in the filing? Now, the counter filings present other facts, right? They present their side of the story, other facts. But there's been no discovery. There's been no interrogatories. There's been no depositions. There's been there's been discovery, like the Norfolk County DA sending Karen's whole phone record to the Ham people and then refusing to delete it. So there is evidence being passed around. But at this point in the legal proceeding, the judge looks at the original complaint and the claims therein, and those have supremacy without there being. So this could be dismissed at a later date when the judge is looking at actual evidence, but that's not what he's looking at right now. Right now, he's only looking at papers passing back and forth between these two sets of lawyers.
And then, so that's basically where that stands right now. I think I expected it. I think we all expected that he was going to deny the motion to dismiss on anti-SLAPP and 12b6 because we don't have any evidence presented yet, and if the plaintiffs have made a good enough claim, then it's going to move forward. But this is going to take friggin' years. It's going to take forever. And now the other thing that happened last week, which we discovered, I don't know when this happened, but I know that the news came out last week that the Norfolk County DA's office released Karen Reed's full phone extraction to the Ham plaintiffs in this case.
My understanding is that it didn't include attorney-client communications, but it included pretty much everything else.
Well, the other thing is, this is only her phone up to January 29th, 2022, but it gives
these were the phones they seized in 2023 and 2024. These are later phones.
I don't think so. Hold on.
Are those the phones they couldn't? Those phones that they allegedly couldn't get into. I think those are the phones they allegedly couldn't get into.
That's what I'm saying. This was her original phone that they took into custody when she was originally arrested. They took her two other phones many, many, many months later, and those are the two phones that they are holding and won't give back.
That they're claiming they can't get into, but we believe they've already searched.
Right. So basically,
I believe there's a good chance they've already searched them anyway.
Oh yeah. Karen Reed's full unredacted phone data was disclosed to Jen McCabe and Brian Albert and Colin Albert and Brian Higgins through discovery material. So the Norfolk County DA is saying this was an accident, that we accidentally gave it to these guys. Now, who do we know is in charge of the NCDAO? That is Michael Morrissey. We also know that Cosgrove is a special prosecutor. We also know that Tully and all these people have worked with the NCDAO. So basically what happened is the full digital extraction of her phone, which had been in the custody of law enforcement and prosecutors during the criminal proceedings. So this is the other phone that they took for use in the criminal proceedings, was provided to the civil attorneys, not directly to Jen McCabe, but their attorneys. And then Karen, her team, immediately filed an emergency motion to basically claw back the extraction data,
Force them to delete it.
Yeah. Arguing that giving her adversaries unfettered access to her entire phone history violates privacy and bypasses standard civil discovery screening rules. So the problem here is that the part that I don't understand is a judge is going to, Gilday is going to have to make a decision about whether they've already gotten the information. The damage is done. Whether they delete it or not, they've already gone through it. And more than likely, they could delete it, but they could still have the pages they printed out or whatever lying around.
Sure.
So
haven't you been waiting as I have for, I mean, we'll know that Jen McCabe has it when Kate Peters starts tweeting about it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, hold on a second. Let me just pull this up.
And then they'll claim that Turtle Boy gave it to them because Karen gave it to him or some BS like that. It's so they had a deal in the various court cases. The deal was that the same rules would apply, as far as I understand it. I heard them say this in court many times, where she would get her extraction, they would produce relevant material, and they would redact private material. And then they would produce everything that complied with the discovery, which was relevant material minus private material that was irrelevant, needed to be kept private. And this accidental release is against both the spirit and the word of that agreement. So, yeah.
So the two things that the Ham defendants are arguing for, the reasons why they should be able to keep this, is that they're saying Karen Reed waived her right to object because a party must challenge a third party subpoena within 10 to 14 days. So that's that. And then there was this tit for tat. Hold on a second. Oh, okay. This is ridiculous. The other argument is that because Karen received Jen McCabe's phone extraction during the criminal murder trial and hasn't deleted it, the plaintiff should get to keep Reed's entire phone extraction.
What a weird argument.
Yeah.
That was a murder trial.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what Karen Reed says in her rebuttal, is like, that was a murder trial. This is civil. So anyway, Karen Reed's asking the court to order the Ham plaintiffs and their lawyers to immediately delete all copies and versions of the phone extraction. Then Karen will review the extraction and produce whatever is properly like defined within the discovery scope.
Exactly.
Because here's the problem. If they can, they can attack her personally. They can go back to 2013 and look at what medication she was on in 2013 and use that against her. That is
not read her email.
To this. Yes,
they can read her work email, emails to students. They can
finances, everything. Yep. They can go back and see the first time that Karen and John were in a relationship.
What if she has privileged like communications with clients when she worked at Fidelity on her phone?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, there's all sorts of like her calendars, it's funny, interesting watching there was a really great witness in the Clancy case last week, that cop who explained how extractions work and how the reports work. And I'm like, I don't know why we didn't get an expert. I felt like we didn't get an expert with this kind of clarity in either one of Karen Reed's trials, who was like showing the Cellbrite or whatever it was report. And I think it was the other one, and was saying like, this is why this is a double entry, because it basically affects two apps on the phone. Like if someone has an appointment, you might see it twice. if it's in the calendar app, but then also sends an alert or whatever. Like that's a bad example, but like that's why something would be in there twice. That's why a text might be in there twice, or that's why whatever.
Yep.
And there's just, and I think one of the reasons I saw that, I can't wait to watch him. I think one of the reasons why this is so bad. I mean, if you think about what's on your phone, like, especially because it also provides deleted material. It provides all this stuff, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very, very, very non-controversial person who does not get into any trouble of any kind. I don't break any rules. I don't steal anything. I don't lie about working for Netflix when I don't. All that stuff. I would still be deeply embarrassed by the shit on my full phone extraction.
Fuck yeah. Anybody would. Wildcats is giving us an update from the Lindsay Clancy trial, which I will be jumping over to when we're off here. But Ian Whiffen is currently on the stand.
Ian,
can't wait.
Ian Whiffen.
Ian Whiffen.
Ian Whiffen explained that Cellbrite changed the way they write their reports so that timestamps wouldn't be confusing. Yeah. That guy, the guy who said, when asked, have you figured out why the search showed up at 2:27, blah, 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 blah. I figured out why it was deleted, whatever question it was. He said, I have a theory, but haven't been able to replicate it. That guy.
Prove it. Yeah, basically. This is an interesting point that Montana makes. I think Morrissey is doing what Canoni did, watching for what Karen's attorneys don't do or protect against and exploit the heck out of it. So I've been recently, because I'm always looking for like good crossroads content. So I listen to the sidebars. I go back and I listen to testimony. I went back and listened to like Brian Albert getting cross-examined. And I found, I feel like I can see it now with very different eyes. When I was watching it, I was thinking, does the jury see him lying? Does the jury understand that he's lying, Brian Albert? Because he definitely lied on the stand. I think that
this is why the prosecution case was so much worse in trial 2.
Yeah.
Because in trial 1, you had people on the jury saying that those folks seemed credible to them.
Right.
Because they were set up as very credible, in large part because Lally was so boring. So I think Lally's boringness really benefited the prosecution and all of those witnesses.
But I'm telling you, like, I'm now able to, in hindsight, pay attention closely to what Bev says to these attorneys, and listening to some of these sidebars. She is complicit, in my opinion. There are certain things where there's one moment that we were watching, I think during Crossroads, where she coughs and then Adam Lally stands up and objects. And
I remember that.
Like, it's a moment where I think Bev was like, you should be objecting here. She flat out just sort of tells Lally how to do his job in these sidebars. If he's like, she brings up
Mr. Lally, you mean Mr. Lally?
She brings up things that he is missing. She's helping the prosecution. She helped the prosecution in that first trial. And in the second trial, it almost feels like she and Hank Brennan are like on the same page together. I mean, with some of the ARCA stuff and her, being really upset about ARCA's travel being paid for and all the stuff, I really have a difficult time seeing her as a, what's the word I'm looking for?
Unbiased.
Yeah, I'm having a really hard time seeing her now that I'm going back and listening to it, and I'm able to focus. Like, I can listen to, Lindsay's always like, why are you listening to testimony from the Karen Reed trial? I'm like, because first of all, I'm looking for crossroads stuff, but second of all, I can look at this. I can go back and look at it now, and I can listen to one whole testimony and listen to the questions Alan Jackson asks. And then I can listen to the way, I can go back and I can listen to it and listen to the way that the witness answered the question. And then I can think about what the jury's doing. And then I can go back and listen to it again and listen to the sidebars and hear Bev giving the prosecution a leg up at every possible opportunity. Now, I know that you have a person who's close to you who knows Bev.
Canoni is actually well known for being a pro-defense judge. That was her. That's the legacy of her career. That's the legacy of her career.
Yeah. She says, unlike all of you, I've never been a prosecutor. She says it in a sidebar.
Yes.
She's only ever been a defense attorney.
And
So
she's known for actually being pro-defendant.
Yes.
That's what her reputation is.
Yes.
This is why I think, and I know that like people think I'm making an excuse. I'm not. This is why my opinion has been some kind of cognitive decline, because the people I know who know her, I know 3 people who know her, have told me that the judge they saw in that trial was not the judge they know. So it's either deeply personal in a deeply corrupt way, which is only a stretch for me because her career before this was so well respected, or she is personal because she hated Alan Jackson so much, which she clearly seemed to.
Yes.
And then and she married Karen and Alan together.
Yes. And David Unetti.
But there were key moments where her old like values shone through. One key moment was when she basically said, "Yeah, I'm not going to let you have those attorney-client communications, Mr. Brennan," when she had been allowing him everything else. That was like one key thing where I was like, okay, so she's still in there somewhere. But yeah, the reason I don't like focusing on the coughing and those little things is because to me, there are so many big things that are so much more consequential and concrete, like the allowing every single prosecution objection and none of the defense objections, that the coughing thing, I'm like, that may or may not be true, but put that to the side. That's because that just makes you seem crazy to bring, not you, Mel, but with that, when people highlight that as like a piece of, smoking gun evidence against, I'm like, no, that makes you seem crazy. Focus on the things that are smoking gun pieces of evidence, because there's so many of them with her.
So one of the things that I keep picking up on now is when I watch Matt McCabe, Jen McCabe, Brian Albert, and I think Nicole, they all have these coined phrases that they've worked out together. And that is, wait, can you put that comment back up?
Sure. I'm sorry. I didn't see a comment up there.
It's an important one. No, that's not it.
Oh, but that is important though. That our cross roast is the best night of the week and worth the membership.
This is what the question was. But let me get through this really quickly. Every single one of those witnesses says, John never came in the house. I wish he would have. And they say it exactly the same, with the same intonation, everything. I don't understand why more hasn't been made about that. And I don't understand why Bev Canoni didn't pick up on that. They were all saying the same thing. And it wasn't because it was the truth. It was because they had created it outside of the presence of attorneys, outside of the NCDAO, outside of Lally, outside of all these people, Jen McCabe, and they force it. So like Alan Jackson will be speaking over them, and they force that second part, which is, I wish he had. If John, he would have been welcomed, Brian Albert says. I wish he had. I wish he had.
Say it a different way, Mel. Say it a different way.
But do you see what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
Why Bev can know. The thing that bothers me the most is that when so I've been watching a lot of the voir dires of the witnesses. So the voir dire with Allie about David Unetti cross-examining her on, does she know how to change a timestamp, or does she know how to change the time on the settings on her phone on a text message, and how upset she gets during that voir dire. And then the fact that Bev says to him before they go back in front of the jury, well, she says you just taught her some new information, Mr. Jackson. So, I mean, Mr. Unetti. So telling the witness to say this in a subtle way. And that's exactly
she did
what
so
Allie
much
does.
stuff in front of witnesses. This is why watching the Clancy case is so illuminating. And I know it's impossible watch. I know it is an impossible watch. But watching a normal judge in Massachusetts is so refreshing.
Oh, so
because he sends the jury out for everything.
Even
he sends
the
jury out
okay,
all the time.
He does,
like,
but
that's what you're supposed to do.
Sullivan has just recently been overturned by the state Supreme Court. And so he's being overly cautious, which I appreciate, but he's also allowing some things to happen that shouldn't happen. And
he's also allowing a lot from the defense that most judges wouldn't allow.
I didn't say prosecution.
I think he's an equal opportunity allower.
Sure, absolutely. But he's doing it, I think, because of this overturning. But with Bev, come on. She is an experienced judge, an experienced attorney. She was cutting the defense off at the knees and helping the prosecution and allowing these witnesses to play games on the stand. She was, and so I cannot believe, I'm sorry, I disagree with you on this. I don't think it's cognitive decline. I think she, at the base of it, she hated Alan Jackson. She hated that a homeboy like David Dinetti would pro hoc vice Alan Jackson into this thing. And she hated Karen Reed. And I think that her bias showed. And I don't know how you prove it, but when you have 4 or 5 witnesses saying the same phrase over and over and over again with the same tone, which is, no, John O'Keefe never came in the house. I wish he had. I wish he had, Mr. Jackson. They're being disingenuous. When we're talking about the videos, the videos with Colin Albert, the I'll fuck you up and the Advantage Boys videos. And then also there's one moment with the wedding photo with Colin and Michael Proctor at Courtney's wedding. And during the sidebar, Bev is saying, so what you're telling me is you want to put this in front of the jury when this little kid is in the photo with Michael Proctor. What are you trying to establish here? What are you trying to show here? And then she tells, her ruling to Jackson is, you can't show the photo and you can't describe the photo. And he goes, well, if I can't show the photo and I can't describe the photo, how am I supposed to get this in? And she says something along the lines of, you're a skilled attorney, Mr. Jackson, figure it out, or whatever. This is relevant. That photo is relevant. It establishes that Colin has known Michael Proctor since he was a child, and that he was treated differently by Michael Proctor in this investigation. So what is she playing at?
The good news is the jury got it right. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, this is why a jury will be good for Turtle Boy. A judge will not. A jury was good for Karen when the judge was not. I mean, This is what the process is. I hate to say it, it's not supposed to look like a judge appearing to be biased, but it is supposed to look like your peers deciding whether or not you did it or didn't do it. And in the Karen Reed case, I love when the jury foreman gives interviews and is like, from the very beginning, it was clear they had nothing. They were never able to explain a theory. They were never able to explain a crash. They had nothing. And he's like, that's why I stopped taking notes, because they were just BSing us the whole time. And it's like, that's what we all saw.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So different topic. Let's switch for a second. Right on Nave said, off topic, kinda. Can you explain a cross roast? I want to join, but don't know what I'm joining. LOL. Do you want to explain it?
Yeah. So that's our members only stream that we do every Monday night, where it is a lot of fun. People say, I don't want to sound like a certain politician, but people say it's their favorite piece of content on the internet. People say that. They do.
Yeah.
Tiny accordion hand. See what I did there? So people do say that they really, really like it. What happens during the cross roast is that we start public and then we go members only and things get wild. That's when I'll say things that I won't say in the public sphere. And Mel makes me watch video. Sometimes, usually it's video from the Karen Reed trial, somebody's cross-examination. And I suffer through it, having to watch something that makes me so uncomfortable. And one of the ways I cope with it is by having a giant frosé, rosé, or mixed cocktail. Sometimes, by the way, that's just a bit. I'm not trying to promote alcohol culture, but I do actually have a drink during the stream. And sometimes, though, she makes me watch something else. Like she made me watch the 2020 interview with the McAlberts once, which I confess to not having seen.
And the Carrie Roberts interview with
Carrie. What a talker Carrie is. Am I right?
Ooh.
Can you imagine Carrie Roberts? Do you think she feels left out because she's not part of any of these lawsuits?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
She's like, what about me?
What about
I'm
me,
a victim
Jen?
too.
What about me, Jen? I was listening to the testimony of, in the second trial, Alan Jackson asking Jen McCabe if she'd talked to Carrie Roberts before her testimony.
The best.
Oh my God. And her being like, yeah, we talked last night. And he said, okay, well, what did you talk about before you testified? And she said, well, she wanted to know if my kids were staying home from school and to watch. How interesting. My kids were staying home from school to watch. And if my kids were staying home, she wanted to let her kids come over and hang out with them to watch the trial.
What I loved was when he got
What?
Carrie Roberts on that question.
Yeah. Yeah.
When he was like, how often do you talk to, we talk all the time, whatever. When's the last time you talked to Jen McCabe? This morning.
This
That would for
morning.
me was a pause moment. And I called Kevin in and I rewound it 20 seconds. I was like, you have to watch this answer.
Yeah.
And of course, I would always make Kevin do that with no context. So he was like, so what? And I'm like, oh, now I have to explain why that's such a big deal.
You don't understand. Stop into a Slim Jim, Kevin. Allie said, Lady Hart,
get your stuff together, Kevin. Look at us. Look at us not swearing. We're doing such a good job.
I mean, I swore a few times, but you know, apparently I have been trying to wait until after the 30-minute mark. And I don't know if Bite My Bits is in here, but they've been getting very upset about the misinformation about the swearing in the streams. And they say that everybody just needs to go and look it up on Google. It's right there, but I don't know who to believe. And
I have looked it up on Google and I've looked it up on terms of service. And essentially the deal is it's not guaranteed that if you swear something bad's going to happen. But Google uses their AI-powered algorithm to scan all your stuff to see whether or not you're getting likes, engagement, whatever. All of this, it's not about. It's less about the amount of money like you get per stream than it is about showing up on people's homepages when they're looking at content like yours. So I made a mistake a couple months ago. I'm not going to tell you what it was, but I made a mistake that caused us to be pushed way down. So we know that it happens.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
When I tagged a bunch of products and we weren't actually promoting the products. So I know I just told you. So that was a mistake because basically that's a terms of service thing, or that's also like a bad faith thing. They're like, oh, you're just trying to make money from shopping when you're not actually talking about the products or whatever. Like I misunderstood. The problem with the back end of YouTube is that they give you all of this opportunity, but they don't explain the bad thing that can happen if you don't use it right. Yeah. So they just show you can tag products. So I was like, oh, I'll tag everything I'm wearing and I'll tag my hair stuff or whatever. And you can't do that unless you're talking about it on the stream. So yeah.
Allie says, Lady Harlot is so right about the membership. Absolutely worth every penny. But this is really important, you guys. So pay attention, please. If you have an iPhone, Apple adds $2 when you sign up for a membership. So do it through your phone's browser or on your laptop/computer. Really
save yourself some money.
Save yourself some money. Okay.
Same with Patreon, by the way. If you belong to someone's Patreon and you did it on your phone, you're paying through your delete your membership and then re-sign up on your computer, not on your phone.
Let's see.
Someone asked what happened to my swear jar. I was just showing that it's alive and well, still here. I took a bunch of 20s out of it before the weekend. I'm not going to lie, that I could use for tips for people at the wedding.
Many people are saying.
Many
people are saying cross roast is the best thing on the internet. Is all I'm saying.
Many people. Someone said that Morrissey has tiny hands or Greg Connor has tiny hands. Is that true?
I have no idea. Greg Connor, I think.
We do not still give no commercial videos for members. The reason why is because very few people were watching them and it was a lot of work. Yeah. And Mel, I'm giving Mel 100% credit for this, is the one among the two of us who is willing to bend over backwards and accommodate when we get a request or an email or whatever. And I'm typically like, don't do that. you're going to lock us into something that's unsustainable and all that stuff. And, or that's, we realize isn't going to work. It's always good to follow the data rather than doing things based on a request. That was a very well-intentioned thing. It was a lot of work. Very few people watch them. And also there's a product called YouTube Premium, which I know so many of you are resistant to buying. And I think that one of the reasons you're resistant to buying it was the same reason I was, because the ads for it are so annoying. Every single time you go in the app, it's like, do you want this? And you're like, no. But if you watch a stream every day,
have to pay for another subscription.
Right. But if they're watching a stream every day, which a lot of people right here today watch at least one stream every single day, whether it's us or Turtle Boy or Jez Machado or Jolene or Jimmy, then this is the biggest bang for your buck subscription wise that you can have. I am telling you this as somebody who hates paying for stuff. I will suffer through ads, because something's free, but like YouTube, it is a completely different experience when you have YouTube Premium and so worth it. And if you are using YouTube for more than an hour a day or 2 hours a day, that's more than you're watching your TV, for which you're probably paying a ton of subscriptions.
Right. I do. So I have YouTube Premium, but I also, my cable is through YouTube as well. So instead of having like Verizon or whatever, I have YouTube TV. I love YouTube TV. I am not one of those people. I'm not one of those people that hates YouTube or hates Google. Like, I love YouTube. I think it's been really good for a lot of people. And so I feel like the good outweighs the bad. But I do understand people not wanting to have to pay for another subscription. I almost said prescription. We do not put ads on our members only content though. So if you're getting ads, it's because YouTube is putting ads on it, not us, just so you know. Okay, so let's see. Oh. Lady Harlot said, Mel is such a beautiful soul, and I'm glad Rebecca protects her from herself.
Well, we do that with each other, to be fair.
We do.
We do. Yeah. Mel is, I love working with Mel pretty much more than I've loved working with anybody else except for my husband, Kevin. And sweet. Toby and Laura, don't be insulted if you hear this, because Mel and I, we have more of like a direct partnership than I think that I've had with other people. And we can be so frank with each other, and it's always so kind. And like, you know, I don't like I don't like people talk super transparently about everything they're going to do, everything they've done or whatever. But like an example of this would be like, we talked about our pay split a few weeks ago, and we're not going to talk about getting into the details of what it is. But I said to Mel, I'm like, you should benefit when you're solo streaming, which you do and I don't do, like you should benefit from that directly. So like it reflects the fact that she can benefit from that directly. So just know that I'm not like leaving her out to dry and she's like doing all the lifting and I'm getting half the money for that, because that's not the way it works. Like that's very important to me. And it's also like we share the same values, which I think is why it works. And Mel has, the only thing you have less experience with than I have is managing audience and communities. And so it's really hard. It is really hard to decide what to do, what not to do, what to dip in, what not to dip in, and which communities to start and to nurture, because they can go bad so quickly or just become overwhelming so quickly. Like, you know, it's hard. And it takes a lot of practice. And I also, to be transparent, that was my day job for many years. I was digital director at a news organization. So I managed Facebook and all that stuff. And then what you can ignore so much, but it is so hard to ignore when you're not used to ignoring things. Like that's to me the trick. And you're a more sensitive and loving person than I am. So it's harder for you to ignore people than it is for me.
I mean, I don't know if I'm more loving. I'm definitely more sensitive.
You're more earnest than I am.
Maybe. I don't know.
You are. You're a better person than I am. Let's be real.
Allie
just
says,
take it because it's true.
Okay, I'll take it. I don't really know. Allie in Texas says, y'all need to go over the Higgy letter about Richie. Do you know what she's talking about?
Microdots?
Let's talk about that on the next show because it is fascinating.
And then Richie so scared of Richie.
He's so scared of Richie. Higgy's in the blue bubbles.
A DEA agent.
Yeah.
Did you guys see my In the Blue Bubbles merch?
I think you should show it again.
I'll show it again. Just so you know, this can be yours. This can be yours.
I know. They opened an investigation into Richie all because of Higgins. He stays out of the limelight quite a bit, but I think he had his hand in so many things behind the scenes.
I'm in the blue bubbles.
I'm in the blue bubbles. Yeah, that's me.
Bubbles.
I'm in the blue bubbles. ?
I'm in the blue bubbles.
We did Higgy on our last Crossroads, I think.
And by the way, if you become a member, you'll have access to all of our prior Crossroads.
Oh, and also we have members only discounts.
Oh yeah, ATF.
For the merch.
I make this mistake all the time. Of course, it's ATF. Because there's that famous video of him bullying that guy in the pawn shop or gun store or something, where he's like being a super douche to the person there. I think it was a pawn shop.
Uh-huh. Piggy. What was I just saying? Oh, membership. Also, you get membership discounts for our merch as well.
By the way, there is a mediocre chicken parm shirt, but I have it on non-public. You need a special link to get it because those people are litigious. They're litigious, and I don't want to be perceived as trying to harm their business. But there is an apron, and there is is the other one a shirt? Home of the mediocre chicken parm.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, those exist.
Reb being serious with fake hands.
Yes, it looks like this. This is the logo for it.
I love it.
The best mediocre chicken parm in Canton since 2/27.
Hey, you know what? If the D&E shuts down,
then we're putting this back to public.
You know what I'm saying?
Although I was secretly hoping to get a fake lawyer letter in the mail.
I know. A cease and desist. Birdie says Mel is so good at looking at both sides and kindly disagree. Wonder what her sign is. I'm an Aquarius. That makes sense. If you know if you know, you know. I
Do
am
you
an
know that
Aquarius.
Colleen is calling Jess Machado's husband Jeff for Ozempic Higgins?
Yes, I saw the picture. Did you see? She calls it a snuggie. We call it a wedgie of Jeffy's in his granny panties.
So bad.
Mima says that they want a zip up hoodie option. I don't even know if
Okay.
we have. Do we
I'll
have
make you a
that
zip up hoodie option. What do you want?
Okay.
You want the D&E pizza? Tell me what you want on the zip up hoodie and I'll make it today.
Yeah. Okay. What else do we have to talk about? Anything else? I think we
I don't
covered the
think
whole
we do,
list.
girl.
Surprisingly, we covered the whole list somehow. Rebecca's gonna be back on later in the week. And just so you guys know, I do a day behind. I stay a day behind on the Lindsay Clancy. So today I'll be watching the trial today, doing my recap tomorrow. So I'm a day behind just so I can make sure that I'm not like traumatizing any of you by watching the trial live with you.
Can I join you sometimes and say hi?
Fuck yeah.
I'd love that.
Yeah. So tomorrow I will let you know when we're doing it. Probably will be later in the afternoon. And then Rebecca, we're going to probably have another stream this week outside of our Crossroads. Don't forget Crossroads is 5 p.m. tonight. Members only. If you're not a member, become a member. And we will let you know when the next episodes are coming out this week. Rebecca's back, baby. She's back.
I'm back. And we're gonna be looking at our schedule long term, our number of streams, our content, etc. So
I don't know if you've looked at our actual something's off calendar, but it might overwhelm you if you go look at it right now. Because it has all the streams that I've done, everything. My doctor's appointment, everything. I love you so much. I'm so glad you're back. I'm so glad that you are a mom-in-law and that Henry.
I can't wait to be so mean to Maya, who I've known since she was 4.
Where did they go for honeymoon? Are they going to?
They're leaving today. They're going to Mexico. They're staying at like an all inclusive, so they can just read. My son reads like 8 books a day, so they can just do that and chill. And I'll tell you, my daughter-in-law Maya threw a hell of a party, and I am. Do I get a pop in me? We'll talk about that in the back end. That's not your business, Ms. VUSMC. That's not your business.
Okay. That's Rachel has been so incredibly generous. You blow my mind every day. Thank you so much, Rachel. I just really appreciate you. Another merch request. Let's go, lesbians. Let's go.
But that's not our thing. Like that's like somebody else is saying. That's the problem. Is I know people do this all the time, but I have a philosophical problem taking somebody else's joke and making it into our merch, even though I like using this. Let's go, lesbians. Let's go. I like that him saying the thing.
Billy.
Oh, Billy.
Lady Harlot said, we miss you, Rebecca. Mel did such a good job solo though. And D Cool's one of my favorite people in our chat. Mel, you being an Aquarius does make our argumentative, tentative internet friendship make perfect sense. Wait, what does that mean? What's your sign? Are you a Scorpio? Rebecca's a Scorpio.
I'm a Scorpio.
That's why it works for us. Well, it wouldn't work if we were in a scissoring relationship, Rebecca, but it works for us to be friends.
No.
Yeah.
I just want to say thanks for whatever these things are. Saw X fan.
Sunday.
We don't know what they are. We don't know what they are.
KMSC. Thank you for becoming a new member.
Yeah. Become a member. Join us tonight for the Cross Roast. It's so fun.
Fuck yeah, Aaron. We get to have a gay fall. Absolutely.
Gay
fall's my favorite. I know everybody loves gay summer. I am gay fall.
Mel's having a gay shirt today with her yellow shirt.
Yeah. And it's not mustard. I like this color yellow.
Black. I love you in colors. I love you in colors.
I like this color way better than the Nightline sweater.
Maybe Jess would would have a less of a hard time denying her feelings for you if you wore more colors and smiled more.
Maybe I should wear polka dots like she and Jolene wear. I'm not gonna wear polka dots.
I have a polka dot skirt that I freaking love. It's a silk skirt from Quinn's. It's so cute.
I totally have a polka dot
skirt. And I wore it like 3 weeks ago, and it was so cute with my little denim jacket and like my white tank top and my like silk black and white polka dot thing. And ever since I've been seeing Jess in the thing, I'm like, do I have to retire the polka dot skirt for the summer? Because I really want to wear it a couple more times.
Ooh, this is tough, you guys. Fly like Jeff. My husband's a Scorpio and I'm a Pisces. Oof. It must be interesting in your house.
I know so little about horoscopes. I just know that I'm the worst person, allegedly.
we can do a Rehoboth meetup.
That would be fun.
We've been talking about doing maybe a DC meetup. We're definitely still talking about the Chicago meetup, though I don't think we're going to be doing that this year or this month. We've been talking about DC, Chicago, and I would love to do a Rehoboth because we're there all the time. Boston, obviously.
Turtle Boy's announced he's going to do another show before his trial, a live show with Emily C. and Jimmy. So perhaps that would be an opportunity for us to get together and meet up with fans too.
Amazing. Yeah. Let's, we're going to talk about that offline, but yes, New York. Well, I would do one in New York too. We're in New York all the time too.
I'm going to be in New York in a few weeks for a conference.
Yeah. And New Jersey is right next to New York. So Ellen could come over and there's a bunch of people we know in that area. So that would be fun. New York would be fun. So maybe when you're traveling, like when we're both traveling to these different places, if the other one is able to come, we can do a meetup. That would be fun. If you guys have any cities that you want to throw out there, let us know. I would love to do California, but I think that's going to be difficult for both of us because we're on the East Coast, but maybe we might be able to.
Where can I fly from Manchester? I can fly to California, but I have to go to Boston to really go to California.
This is a good idea.
Unaffordable. I don't work for Netflix anymore, so I can't just fly around at a whim.
Rebecca has Stewart and Briscoe, so it would be Ruby, Stewart, and Briscoe. Something's dogs. Yeah, something's dogs. Cute. Okay, Rebecca, I know you have to get to your day job, and I have to get back into court. I am so glad you're back.
I'm so glad to be back. Greatly. Thanks for having me.
Don't forget to like this video on your way out, everybody.
And hype it later and send us tips.
We did this together. We do this together. Okay. We love you all. We will see you shortly. 5 p.m. tonight, Crossroads. Don't forget to get your membership. It's going to be a doozy.
It will. I can't wait.
Don't be
Bye,
a
Mel.
doozy.
You hear it first in the break in the story. One little crack and the whole thing gets wary. A witness swears but the timeline bends. A smile too smooth and the trail just ends. Mel Barrett says, hold up, look again. Rebecca Lavoie follows every thread. If it feels too neat, then it's not the truth. There's a shadow line running through the room. Something's off, something's off. You can feel it in the bones. Something's off, something's off. When the facts won't come home. Something's off, something's off. And the case won't stay in place. Something's off. We're the ones who chase